Scoodly doodly doo, it's time for another Welch review. Scoodly doodly doo doo.
Evening, gang.
Welcome to the Welch Review. It's me, your host, Sam and Stefan. Well, I'm not. Yeah, you're.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
You've been here a while now. It's good to see you guys. Today we're talking about the recent movie, The Green Knight. And The Green Knight, if you did not know, is based off of an Arthurian legend. It's anonymous. We aren't sure who actually wrote the epic poem in which this movie was based on. It has been developed on film before. Sean Connery was in a movie called Sir Gawain, the Green Knight.
Was he Gawain?
Yes. So this is not the first time that this story has been told. But in this movie we have Dev Patel as Gawain, and you might recognize him from Chappie. He played the guy who created Chappie. He was also the live-action Zuko in The Last Airbender, even though they say there was no war in Ba Sing Se. He's in the film Lion with Nicole Kidman a couple of years ago, and probably his most known work as Slumdog Millionaire. You also have Alicia Vikander as Essel and the Lady. She plays dual roles in this. She broke it big with Ex Machina, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and then Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Then you have Sarita Choudhury as Mother, right? Gawain's mom and Arthur's sister. And Sarita is from Lady in the Water. She plays M. Night Shyamalan's character's sister.
Oh, okay.
She's also in The Hunger Games Mockingjay 1 and 2 and Hologram for a King with Tom Hanks. And then you have Sean Harris as an older King Arthur. He was in Mission Impossible Fallout and Rogue Nation. He was also played Macduff in the most recent Macbeth film with Michael Fassbender. Then you have Kate Dickie as Guinevere, right, the Queen. She was in Prometheus, Filth, and The Witch, but with two V's. That Robert Eggers movie that came out.
Okay, the one with the goat.
Yeah, the one with the goat, that one. Coincidentally, Ralph Ineson, the guy who plays the Green Knight, is also from The Witch. He played the husband, the father in that.
That's wild.
He was also in Guardians of the Galaxy. You can see him on Netflix right now in Gunpowder Milkshake.
Yep.
And he was in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. You have Barry Keoghan as the Scavenger. He was in Dunkirk, American Animals, and Chernobyl, the HBO series. You have Anne Kellyman as Winifred. She was in Solo, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She played like the main bad guy in that. And then she's in the upcoming Willow sequel series they're making. Then you have Joel Edgerton as the Lord, and he was in the film The Gift, the Australian gangster picture Animal Kingdom, Gringo. What's funny is he was in Antoine Fuqua as King Arthur.
Okay.
He played one of the Knights of the Round Table.
That's cool.
So that's cool seeing him back in this.
Form.
Exactly. And he was in Star Wars Episode 3. And then this is, as I said, based on the epic poem Sir Gawain the Green Knight, and it was written and directed by David Lowry. And he is known for writing and directing A Ghost Story, directing Pete's Dragon, Ain't Those Body Saints, and The Old Man and the Gun.
Cool. So this story, very old. Some of you might know it from just like the legend itself, which was recorded by some French guy. Actually, like the book that we get it from, like it's still unclaimed, right? Like we don't know who actually wrote it, but this guy was just chronicling Arthurian legends.
That's cool.
So it comes from some French guy as far back as we can trace it. But the idea is that it follows King Arthur's nephew, who has no real like name, right? He's kind of like a nobody. So much so that in the movie, King Arthur's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry for not like paying attention to you like throughout your entire childhood. Tell me a story about yourself, so that I can know you." And then Gawain is like, "I don't have a story." And then his aunt's like, "Not yet, you don't." So at that point, the Green Knight rolls in, and he's like, "Yo, if any of you can hit me with this axe, then you've won my challenge. But in a year's time, you have to come and find me, and I will return the same blow to you. So now what that means is that anybody who accepted the challenge could just cut his hand a little bit, and then that's the same thing that the Green Knight would do to him the coming year. But nobody is willing to take that bet, right? They're like, hey, I don't want to get cut, so I'm not going to cut you. So none of the Knights of the Round Table are willing to take this challenge from the Green Knight. And then Gawain is like, I'll do it, right? I'll do it. That way he can have a story. That way his name will be sung. So he goes over and he chops off the Green Knight's head because he's a genius. And then instead of dying, the Green Knight just picks up its own head, and the Green Knight looks like a tree person with armor and a huge axe. So he picks up his own head, and he's like, all right, I'll see you in a year, punk. Just get ready. So that's kind of the actual myth itself. I skipped a little bit of the story. In the story, not only is Gawain a nobody, he is also kind of a drunk, and the lady that he's in love with is a prostitute. Which, no shame on her. There's hard times in medieval days.
It's the oldest trade in the world.
It's like the second or third oldest or something like that. But anyways, so Gawain's in love with a prostitute, and he's a drunk, so he's not really in good shape as a nobleman, right? Even though he is the nephew of the king, he's not, he hasn't positioned himself well to really, claim honor and nobility. But then all of this happens, and he has a journey to go on. So he sets off on his journey, and he gets into a whole bunch of stuff, meeting a saint who's may and or may not be dead, getting mugged,
Befriending a fox,
finding giants that are naked, going to this random castle, and then
being seduced
by the guy, the lord of the castle's wife.
Yep.
Who's also magic. So there's a whole bunch of adventure and magic in this film. But what it's really trying to do is outline how a nobleman's supposed to act, and show you how Gawain messes up constantly. The actual myth itself is supposed to be an example of what perfect chivalry is, right? Because Gawain is supposed to be so chivalrous that he doesn't succumb to being seduced. That whatever happens, he always makes the noble choice. And this movie takes a very different approach, and it's nah, Gawain fucks up 90% of the time.
So it's maybe how he earns that title of being chivalrous. Him realizing,
Yeah, and then eventually, he finds the Green Knight, right? And that all comes to fruition. But that's kind of a rundown of the plot. Gawain, kind of a scumbag, chops off the Green Knight's head. King Arthur's like, hey man, you gonna go find him? And then Gawain's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Goes on an adventure, has a horrible time on said adventure, meets the lord of the castle, kisses him a couple of times, gets seduced by his wife, finds the Green Knight. And I can't tell you what happens with the Green Knight. There's some twists and turns in there. But yeah, aside from the plot though, what you got going on?
The actual movie itself. The movie itself is two.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours. It feels like
the movie's very artsy. Right?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What were you gonna say? You were asking a question.
Well, I was gonna ask what kind of stood out to you, but I think that's a good place
that's
to
a good
start
step.
at.
Like Sam just said, the film is a very it's beautifully shot.
Yeah.
It's really beautifully shot. David Lowry does a great job captivating that whole time period.
Yeah.
Really making you feel like you're there. You know, I like that a lot. His depiction of what the Round Table is really cool. And just the whole character design of the Green Knight. And, you know, it's nice seeing that they're not whitewashing these characters. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't make Gawain just another white British dude.
Yeah, I mean, in history, everybody would be a white British dude. But as far as...
It's nice seeing how, like...
Oh, no, I agree.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you. There's some people who get, like, real uppity when you make, like, characters who are, like, in the lore, like, are white guys, and then you change up the ethnicity a little bit. Some people get super uppity about it, and it's like,
what?
Why do you care? It's a myth.
Yeah.
It didn't even happen.
Exactly.
None of this is real.
So, but that being said, right, it is really artsy. Like, David Lowry was like, I could tell this story this way. Or, I could make Gawain do shrooms, and then I'll film it like he's doing shrooms.
Well, he does do shrooms, yeah.
And you know, but it's like, instead of just like, mythical journey, it's like, nah, man, there's gonna be a drug trip. There's gonna be naked giants with like all their business hanging out. Like
it's a time.
It's a time, and it won't be for everybody.
Yeah,
it really won't be.
I personally thought that like the more like artistic approach was cool. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm like super artsy, but I do really like how they convey a lot of like emotion and storytelling without words, because they do a very good job of doing that, right? Like, you know, Gawain is like close to death, but he never says it, right? Like when he stumbles out of the woods and finds that castle, like, you know, Gawain's like on his last leg. You know, when he's starting to eat shrooms off the ground, like, he's not doing well. You know, when he's screaming at imaginary giants in the distance, like, Gawain's, like, yeah, he isn't doing well. But they portray it without having to use words, right? And that's kind of unique. Even there's a scene where the prostitute who he's in love with, what's her name? Essel, who honestly is best girl of the entire film. And Essel is like, hey, will you take me as your wife? Like, you know, will you make me your, you know, like, your wife? Because I love you. And he, like, can't say that he doesn't love her, because he does love her. But if he chooses her as his wife, then he basically just, like, renounced all of his inheritance, right? Like, all of his possibilities to be king, a nobleman, anything, gone. And you can, like, tell the turmoil inside of the character of, like, what do I say, what do I do, even though, you know, he should probably just stop being a punk, without him saying it.
No, and I agree. I think that it says a lot more about, like, Dev Patel as an actor, right? And him be able to convey these emotions that way. But yeah, I don't know. It's 50-50. I shouldn't even say that. It's more like 60-40. Most of this movie is not for me, right? Like, I like no, I don't like artsy films like that. I don't like it. I don't like kaleidoscope sword and sandal flicks or medieval kaleidoscope movies. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to watch a dude fight with the Green Knight, go on a journey to find himself, not to get high and talk to a fox. You know, granted, I think the getting high talk to a fox part was dope. I like that whole piece, but I really think if the movie would have suffered more if a lesser actor was in the role of Gawain.
I think that's true.
Everything you're saying, I think we're along for the ride because Dev Patel does such a good job embodying this character of, like, who am I going to be? What is my song going to say? Will I even make it out alive? Am I worthy? You know, and in a lot of ways, by leaving, he kind of doesn't have to think about some of these larger decisions, right?
Yeah, it's kind of an escape.
Escape.
That's the point of an adventure, yeah.
Well, yeah, but, like, she asks him, right?
Right
He doesn't say anything. He just goes, not knowing if he's coming back.
Yeah.
You know? So, I think that's something that happens, right? Life has questions it asks of us. We, as people, don't always answer that right away. We have to go do something else before we can come back to it.
I think that the issue wasn't necessarily all of the film, though.
60-40.
Or even, no. Even a lot of the artsy things I don't think were a problem. What I think became a problem is that they dragged it out. Like, again, it's a 2.5-hour film. But I would say right up until he gets to the castle, it's a really good film. I personally think all of the interactions with Arthur, all of his actual adventure, even I'm gonna give a bye to the naked giants.
Like
I think
Attack on Titan. What's going on?
I think all of that was fine. When I think it starts to become a problem is when he gets to the castle, and the fact that even though he's gone through like all of this turmoil to find the Green Knight, they still make him a pansy for like a very long portion of the film, and it's only at the end of the film that you figure out like, oh, he actually like mans up.
Well, but it's necessary for these type of things, okay? I could only name you 2 movies where I don't think that go like this, where they're not a pansy. 1, Clive Owen as King Arthur, never a pansy. 2, Russell Crowe as the Gladiator, never a pansy.
Yeah, but the point, Steph, is that he develops from being
No, I know that.
scared
I'm telling
boy
you,
into a man.
I'm telling you, when they've done these things, right? Those are the only 2 times I've seen it when that hasn't happened. But if
yeah,
you
but
look,
those movies are
just-
great.
I know they're great, but listen, when they do things like this, right? Luke Skywalker stars out as a pansy, takes him like arguably, what, 6 movies to become the cool person he is.
But Luke's never cool.
I mean that's open. That's another debate for the day. My point is, he starts off as like, oh, I'm a farm boy. I wanna get off the town."
my aunt and uncle
Yeah.
just got killed by stormtroopers.
Exactly,
Man.
like
Just
that.
kidding,
That
I'm sorry.
Frodo. If Frodo didn't have Sam,
Yeah,
that would have happened.
but the difference
so
is-
it takes time for these characters to stop being sissies.
But the difference is that he had Sam.
That's what I'm saying.
This movie does not have a Samwell Tarly.
What the Sam? No, it's not Sam Tarly. That's Game of Thrones.
Oh, sorry, Samwise Gamgee. Sorry,
no,
sorry.
but my point is the character
Doesn't have a Samwell Tarly either.
He has the memory, the things of King Arthur talking to him and his mom. But my point is with that is that the character that Gawain is, right? The person he is. We've seen this before, right? Where Luke doesn't know his story, who he's going to
No.
be, right? Frodo doesn't have a story, know who he's going to be. Gawain doesn't know his
That's
story.
not my point. My point is that this guy comes from a background where he's failed at every single turn in his life.
How has Gawain failed?
Because he's a nobleman who's done nothing.
Well,
Listen, I listen to you.
His mom is called a witch, so no
Exactly.
one's gonna want to
But what I'm saying is, nobody likes his mom, besides the king. Right?
arguably.
No, probably. His dad, his uncle still invites them to things, so I assume that his uncle still likes his mom. He, again, goes and whores around and drinks all night. Not exactly what noblemen of the Round Table are expected to be doing.
I mean, it's the stuff that is off the pages that they don't say.
But what I'm saying is he's expected to be like this upstanding nobleman, right? He's going to be the king. But constantly throughout the film, at least at the beginning of his story, and even throughout most of his adventure, he's kind of a pansy. He gets jumped by like 3 hobos at one point and loses, and he has full like chainmail and a sword and an axe and a shield.
Well, he's never done any of this.
But that's what I mean. He's expected to be better, and he fails constantly. And the point of the movie is to take him from a place where he fails constantly
Yeah.
to a place where he isn't.
But I get
And
that.
I think that the issue with the film is that they fail to make that transition consistent throughout the film.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, he's just failing.
No, the end of the movie is not him failing.
No, straight up until that one point,
Yes,
he's failing.
yes.
And there's scenes during the adventure where he's making that change, right? He might get jumped by 3 hobos, but in the next scene, he saves a saint,
Well, he
right?
finds her, yeah.
You know? He continues on his journey, even though he was trying to wuss out multiple times. You know, he's eating trippy ass mushrooms off the ground because he has no food. Like, Gawain's roughing it, and then they bring him back to square one. Like, as soon as he has any kind of comfort, he just completely becomes a pansy immediately again.
Well, I think the difference of, right, because, like, yeah, he has to learn. This is a movie about learning. I see your point, right? Like, it's about, like, the very end, right? Because in the beginning, he's not a nobleman. He's the, like, the bastardized nephew of the king who he hasn't paid attention to at all throughout his whole life.
Yeah.
So if nobody of nobility is paying attention to him, why does he have to do anything that they dictate? He doesn't. This is the first time he's ever been called on to do, like, anything, right? To sit next to him.
Yeah.
He takes this challenge because what the queen's words were, not yet.
No, exactly.
So,
he's
like,
doing it to try to impress his uncle.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I see that, but he is a pansy. He's a pansy the whole way through until, like, literally the very end. This is the defining moment.
That's what I mean. Nobody likes to watch a movie where the only main character is a pansy the whole time. At least in Star Wars, you have Han Solo.
I get it, but the main character is a pansy.
But that's what I mean.
And in Lord of the Rings, the main character is a pansy.
Yeah, but you have a full cast around him who aren't. None
I
of the other cast is.
But again, if it was
Merry Pippin are riding a freaking tree and fighting
if it was
towers.
a lesser actor,
Yeah.
he would not be down for the ride.
No, I disagree. I like character studies. I think that having a character study is fine. The issue is that they don't finish the character development. They don't do most of the character development, and they have a 30-minute interlude where they intentionally show us the character failing.
They're
for
leaving
30
you
minutes.
for, like, because that's Gawain's story. That's where it ends. That's where the legend and the myth ends. It's like, oh, you decided to man up and be the man
It's
you're
actually
going to
not.
be.
The myth ends after that.
Okay, well, maybe there's a sequel in
There's
development to show Gawain being the better man he
Anyways,
has become.
my point is the movie it fails because it does not complete the hero's journey until the hero's development until, like, the very end. He gets some character development, but it's literally the end of the film.
Yeah, that's true. That's wholeheartedly true.
I don't want to sit there for 2.5 hours watching some pansy be a pansy. You know what I mean? And then for maybe the last 1 minute of a 2 hour and 30-minute film,
he finally
mans up.
Yeah.
When the whole story is about him transitioning from, like, a child to a man. You know, nobody watches a coming-of-age film because they wanna, like, I don't know, see a 5-year-old, like, flail around like a baby in the woods with giants that are naked, which is not
awful.
Yeah, I'm describing the movie, but if Gawain was 5, because that happens. There's giant naked monsters. So yeah, like, it's an artsy film. The main character does a great job. Honestly, I think most of the roles are acted pretty well. Not that all of them have crazy talking lines. Besides Gawain, I think that King Arthur is the best actor.
Yeah.
Like, their relationship is just very believable, right? Like, they're family, but they aren't close, and Arthur's interested in fixing that. You know, Gawain's like a broken man who didn't really have much of a chance because he's been, like, neglected, even though he's, you know, rich and part of nobility and honestly doesn't have to do anything to be successful in life, by, you know, the standards of the day. Aside from, you know, nobility and honor. The Arthur character's fantastic. I like him a lot. Yeah, I don't know. To me, the movie doesn't fail because it was poorly acted or poorly filmed. It fails because they don't complete the journey of Gawain. And I know that you don't like it because it's artsy, but that's perfectly
I'm not
fine.
even saying it's not, like, not the some of the artsy stuff is fine. I'm not saying, like, all of it's bad.
But 2.5
some
hours.
Some of it's okay, but 2.5 hours of just, like, huffing your own paint, like, oh, look what I can do with this.
Check out this panorama.
You know, yeah, like, you know, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I came here to watch, you know, I came here to watch a journey. I came here to watch this guy become a man. I came here to relive the epic poem, you know, and see that played out in ways that, like, the audience can better understand it and connect with it, right? because it's written in like Old English, so not everyone jives with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole kaleidoscope type stuff is cool now and then, but I don't want to watch 45 minutes of that.
No, it's alright.
You know, like the trailer does not portray it as like, yo man, this is an acid trip adventure film.
I was kind of hoping that Gawain murders one of the giants.
Like that would have been cool, but yeah. So that part not the best. I think Joel Edgerton and Alicia Vikander do good as the Lord and Lady, but that just seems like really out of place.
Yeah, that's part of the original story, though.
Yeah, but still seems real out of place.
Yeah, they didn't do that well.
You know, seems real weird. And you know, part of the original story, cool, but still seems like they did a very strange way of like coming up with it and how they're gonna lay that out.
Yeah.
I wish there was more Green Knight. There's not enough Green Knight in a movie called The Green Knight.
Well, yeah, but the movie's not actually about.
I know. I
even
know that. I'm aware of that. I'm just saying. I would like to have seen
more
Green Knight.
I would have liked to because like they do a bit of a twist on the original story in the end, and I would have preferred that the twist that they do be that he fought the Green Knight rather than what they did. Because that would have given more Green Knight, and it would have given our main character more, like, I don't know, prestige.
A perfect example. You go to see a Sasquatch movie, you expect to see Sasquatch.
We're making a Sasquatch film, and we originally didn't have enough Sasquatch, so we just refilmed, and now there's more Sasquatch.
Exactly. You hope to see more of the thing that the movie promises, or talks about.
Well, yeah, but if you know the poem, you know that it's not about the Green Knight.
Okay.
The Green Knight's a trial.
Whatever, man.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't either, because I didn't get what I wanted anyway.
Okay.
I think another character, she didn't have nearly as much screen time, but a lot of the lines that she said, I thought were very powerful, was the Queen Guinevere, right?
Oh, I actually hated Queen Guinevere in this.
Oh. Well, I like that whole like conversation she has with him, where he's talking to Arthur, and he's like, you know, I don't have any tales to tell you. And then she says, yeah, because how often do people feel like, you know, I don't have anything to contribute, or I don't have any adventures or anything like that to share or to talk about.
Yeah.
And the point is, you're going to.
Yeah.
You will. It hasn't happened this minute. So I thought that was really cool. So I think David Lowry does a really good job connecting, humanizing these myths and bringing them down to a level with like actual people and how they feel.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's really, really cool. I think Dev Patel does a really great job. I think if it was any other actor or someone who'd put in way less effort, this movie would have fell on its face.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're into, you know, what... Oh, I really didn't like the scavenger guy.
No,
Like,
he's annoying.
You're not supposed to like him, and it sounds bad, but I don't like that actor as an actor. I just don't like visually seeing him. He bothers me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dang.
He looks like a weasel, and
He
it's
does.
just like, get out of the scene.
Yeah.
And it's messed up.
I mean,
A little bit. It's
you have
not
the right
messed
to
up.
hate him.
I don't. I'm sure he's probably a cheerful guy.
I bet he sucks.
He might.
Just kidding.
But it's just like, I don't know, something about him irks me. And it's like not his fault, but I guess he does a good
It's
job.
just a stupid face.
Yeah.
I liked the Green Knight for the most part, again, up until they get to the castle. But it definitely has a lot of flaws. It's definitely a very artsy film, so if you don't like that, then probably definitely don't check this out. But if you're a fan of Arthurian legend, if you're into scenery and camera angles, and if you want like a film that's good for like at least an hour, then watch the first hour of this film and turn it off afterwards.
We'll see you next time.
This has been the Welch Review.